Welcome everyone to Disruptive Conversations. I'm so happy that you're here joining me and my guest Sonia Satra today. And we're going to be talking about, although we have one life to live, in our life, we can have many different paths. And these paths can take different directions. They can grow out of one another. We can pivot. It can be more dramatic than that. We can make decisions. And sometimes things evolve as well. So if you're thinking about having one life and what you would like that life to look like, where you would like the changes to be made, what you would like to see, and what does pivoting, changing, and growing look like, you're going to be wanting to stay put with us today, me and Sonia, and we're going to be going there. So for any of you who are here for the first time, welcome to Disruptive Conversations. I'm Dr. Risa Reiger, clinical psychologist, and I want to let you know that I'm always dropping new information. If you haven't followed me, please go ahead and do that. Love to have you here so that you can have the latest information that's both science and experience based, looking at the consilience and the amalgam of what we need to do and have the tools that we need in order to really be able to create the lives that we're looking for. And if you know someone who needs to join, please do let them know. Come on. I'm waiting for Sonia. Sonia has joined and now she has requested. I'm viewing the request. We're going live. This is really great. Okay, I'm waiting for Sonia. There may be a moment of buffering, so we're going to hang in here. And here's Sonia. Without further ado, now Sonia, I'm going to introduce the show myself, and then I'm going to introduce you. So happy. Let me
Yes,
just
can you
make sure
hear
I can
me?
hear you.
Perfect.
I sure can, because I don't want to miss a word of what's going to be happening here between us and with our community. So welcome everyone to Disruptive Conversations with thought leaders, entrepreneurs, influencers, authors, educators, in which we deep dive into the experiences these women have needed to navigate and conquer in order to achieve their personal and professional success up to this point in time, because there's always more to come. I'm Dr. Risa Reiger, clinical psychologist, and I'm an expert in change. I help people, companies, teams make positive change. And the good news is that positive change can happen at any point. You haven't missed it. You haven't missed your opportunity yet. But in order to have positive change, you need to disrupt. You need to disrupt a thought, a feeling, a belief, a habit, a behavior in order to create your 10.0 life. And that's what this series of conversations is all about. And today, to help us in that journey of 10.0 lives is Sonia Satra. Now, Sonia's done so much, I can't memorize it, so I need to read off from her bio. Sonia is a mindset and fitness thought leader, and she specializes in personal transformation, integrating mind, body, and emotion. Now, Sonia was a former star of The Guiding Light and One Life to Leave. And she is the CEO of a wellness company called Motosize. She's a life coach, she's a mama, she's a friend, she is a dog mom. And so there's a lot on this resume. And we're going to be going in and really taking a deep dive together, and I'm thrilled to be diving here with you today.
Thank you. I'm
Sonia.
so excited about being here today. I love your message, and I really love the whole concept of you do need to disrupt, and it's never, ever, ever too late. So on board with that.
Fantastic. So first thing, if of everything that I've said about you, is there something that I've missed in your bio or something that you want to communicate that I haven't yet addressed?
Probably the only thing that is that I'm now an author. Yes.
And great cue,
Oh, I have
because
one
guess what I
too.
have? What if it were easy? Yeah. Yeah, we should do this. We could do that for, this is a great shot.
Yeah.
So,
And which is so
yeah,
unusual
and
for me. I was
author.
doing a talk show and they were like, looking for the author. And I literally did this to look at the other people behind me. I was like, oh, I guess that's me. So still getting used to that myself, but it's there. So I'll take it.
Okay, and we'll just keep
Thanks.
practicing that today to help you get, to help you embrace that and really integrate it into your 10.0 self of now. Yeah. So Sonia, we were just talking about disruption and the importance of disruption. And so what is it that you can share that you needed to disrupt inside of yourself in order to be able to be at this point in your life with your personal and
Oof.
professional
I think that
success?
there have been so many times when I've had to disrupt things, and it probably started when I with acting. I came from a very educated family. My mom was a professor. My father had a gazillion doctorates and spoke many languages fluently. My oldest sister was going to med school. My other one was going to engineering school. And I was like, hey, I'm going to go to Hollywood. So that was a huge, huge shift. It was a big disruption in the pattern of my family and in my own life and in what I thought I should do. Everybody was like, you need to be the lawyer. That will just be a nice little round thing, and that wasn't in the cards. So that was a huge disruption to go out there and learn that and to manage all of that. And then I think even once I got onto Guiding Light, I was doing great and I could have stayed. But I once again was like, okay, it's time to disrupt and move forward if you want to play a different character sometime in your life. So then I went back and that had its whole set of issues. And then once again, when I sort of disrupted to leave acting mostly, and become a coach and a speaker and to really be on this path that I'm on right now. So, and yeah, I feel like there's always a time when you need to disrupt to take your life to the next level or to learn the next thing that your soul is here to learn.
Mm. You said that it wasn't in the cards. So what I want to ask you, because you've gone back to look at your cards and to
Yeah.
read your cards, right? And could you share with us just some of what that process
So
has been
cards,
like
when you
for
say
you?
cards, are you referring to the Sphinx code reading that I do? I was like, because I actually
No,
do read cards.
actually, you just said that. Oh,
And that is new.
well, okay. Well, that'll be our next conversation. But you said, Amy, thank you that change can be hard but
Okay.
beneficial. Absolutely. If it's change, it's never easy because we're disrupting. So when you said, it wasn't in your cards, but
Yeah.
if we use that more metaphorically for the moment, Sonia, um, of your coming in and you're coming in, meaning in you, and looking at your own cards. And could you fill us in a little bit more about what that process is
I
like or
think there's
has been
always
like for
that
you?
moment when you feel, sometimes it shows up as stuck. Sometimes it feels like there's a yearning, almost like there's something else and you can't quite put your finger on it. Or there's this, boredom is an extreme. Some people do get bored. I don't think I was bored in any of those situations, but there was a feeling of like, I'm stagnant, perhaps, and that there's something else that I'm meant to
Mm,
do. And most of the time, I didn't know exactly what that was, but I knew it needed something needed to change. Something had to shift, and so that was really that's sort of that's the wake up call for me. When I start to have that feeling, maybe a little restless, a little like a pulling, an energetic pulling to something else, that's when I really have to dig deeper and look and see, like, well, what is that? And I had just been, the first time with the acting, I had just been out in California to visit my sister, and I had just dabbled in acting, and that's a whole long story in and of itself. Sort of through a, yeah, lunch,
Lunch.
right. I
We'll do
by
that in
mistake,
lunch.
I
Yeah.
ended up sort of being seen. I did a hair ad. I ended up in an agency, and I was like, oh, I booked my first commercial. And so it was a little bit of beginner's luck that thrust me into that world. But when I went to visit my sister in California, I was like, oh, if this is what I want, this is probably where I should be. And that was the moment where I kept feeling that there was a bit of a, it's a pull is almost what I can say. There's just something that feels right, even if it feels terrifying. And I think that pattern has repeated in each of the times before. So when you find yourself feeling like, oh, I'm not doing what I'm meant to be doing, or I'm feeling stagnant, or I'm feeling like there's something more, that to me is a cue that there probably is.
So I'm just going to take that out for a moment to speak to the community, which is that, sometimes things don't come in the form of thoughts. Sometimes where our experience doesn't happen in the form of thoughts, but it really happens on some sort of internal, when we say feeling, literally something that you're feeling in your body. And that it's such an important channel of information that if you listen to it, that it can be enormously helpful in terms of, well, what is my experience and what is part of who I am? And could you talk a little bit also about pulling that in, that felt sense rather than a
Yeah, I
thought
think for me,
sense?
and it is a huge part of my work and why I think I'm so fascinated and believe so much in that mind body connection, that the body, that feeling is very much living in your body. And it has the answers. Often the thoughts, I find, can send us into that sort of monkey mind or that spinning, and get us caught up in the shoulds and the, like, what I'm supposed to do, or the perfectionism, or any of those other rules that we might carry with us, where the body is often a place to go for truth, because I find the body doesn't lie, right? You really, when you go in and you really listen to what it has to say, and sometimes I'll go very directly, like, where do I feel it? Maybe it's my stomach, maybe it's my shoulders, maybe it's somewhere else, and kind of identify it and ask it, what is it that you're trying to say? Is there's one thing that you want me to hear? What is it? And it's kind of fascinating, and it's powerful. Sounds a little nutty, but it's really, really powerful in terms of gaining truth and insight into what's really going on from you. And then when you kind of allow that to immerse, then you can start being more thoughtful and a little more purposeful, if you will, and breaking it down. And okay, well, what am I going to do about it?
Yes, yes. We were talking a little bit before we came on, and the idea that we add, for as women, we become more ands. We add
Yes.
we add on. And you've had additive moments, and how was it for you? And I know that it sounds funny, but one of my daughters asked me, she goes, "Mom, like, how did you have time for this?" And I said to her, um, you figure it out. And now that my kids are grown, they're out of the house, I wonder to
I do.
myself, where did that all fit in? But how has that additive process been for for you, and in terms of also in your work and in acting, and then making this shift where you have to be self-connected to be able
Right.
to do what you do?
Um, I think children was a major add, a huge benefit and a huge disruptor all at the same time. And I think it's so true. You just somehow figure it out, and you don't know how. What advice would I give? I don't. You just sort of do it because you figure it out, and you manage to do more things in less time, and you're more intentional probably, and I think sometimes things just take a little longer too. I think there was a place where I needed to give myself grace, and I always resisted, like, you can do everything, just not all at the same time. And I was like, no, I have to do it all at the same time. And I think you can do all. It just may take a little longer. And I think that was really what I came to for myself with my kids, was that I didn't want to miss out on the moments, and I think I wanted to spend the time with my kids. At the same time, I still wanted to work. And so I just realized that, yeah, I'll probably do what I say, it just maybe not tomorrow. It just might, maybe it'll take a month instead of a week. But if that's what it takes in order to enjoy and be present in both, then okay, I can live with that. But it was a little negotiation I had to play with myself.
It's such an important negotiation, and there are two aspects of this that I want to highlight. One is that things aren't totally figured out before you start to do something. If you had to totally figure something out, and first of all, one, it would be very hard to do something. And two, the second piece of it is that even if you figured out as much as you can figure out, other
Totally
things
true.
happen.
Absolutely. It really is a lesson, I believe, of trust, of faith, and of, kind of going with the flow. And when you really do that and check in and tune into your body and what's going on, then I think you can sort of follow the energy, and it's pretty powerful. It will often guide you. Most times, 9 times out of 10, when you really allow it and you go with it, it does get you certainly somewhere that's better than where you were. and, and I think it will guide you even just to the next step, even if it's not the end or the ultimate. It will guide you to the place where you'll get information to continue on.
Yeah, as
Right.
if there
No,
is
hopefully there's not
the
an end.
end. You know, that's one part of it, and I think that also, women also feel that they need to do it all, one, and two, do it all themselves. So I hear
Yeah.
the nod. I see the nod. I heard the yep. And how is it that you have been able to pull in support, help, um, trusted people in your life, and that it's not about being less than because you need help or that you haven't
Right.
figured it
I
out
had such a
right?
powerful lesson early on in my business, and it was quite telling to this exactly. I hired an assistant, and I brought her in, and my husband had been like, just give them everything you just don't want to do so that you could focus on the stuff that's really important that you do want to do. And so I gave her all of this stuff, and then I went back to my desk and I was like, now what do I do? I realized I had literally just unloaded everything, that had been keeping me busy, and I really had to recalibrate, and and it was so freeing. It was so great. I was like, I love that. Just get rid of everything you don't want to do. But I realized how much time I was spending on stuff that it wasn't necessarily advancing me in a creative way and in a really helpful way, getting bogged down in that. So it was such a great lesson to me of, that's what happens when you can remove those things that we sometimes I think we put them there as a safety. And I noticed that as a mom, and that was a
Mm.
definitely something I had to admit one day, of like, you can hide behind, motherhood too. It's important work, and it's also important to know when are you using it as a hiding, and when are you actually in it, like really fulfilled. And so I think in both of those places, I really learned that lesson of delegation is so, so important. And I know for myself, I was a better mother when I had a little bit of time to go do something else creative for myself. Then I could come back and really be in it and love it. And so finding good people and trusting.
Yeah. Yeah. Support network
I
is so
always, it's
important.
classic, it's cliche, it takes a village, but it actually takes a village. It really does. And I think it's interesting because I think women inherently should be good at it, and yet we're not, because we are like gatherers, the group, right? Collective, the women power, right? And yet we still are like, I gotta do it all, I gotta do it all. And so I think if we like lean into
Yeah.
some of what we're actually naturally good at, of that sharing, we would do ourselves a great service.
Yeah. And I think also, we were talking about that women are so many
Yes.
ands, we and. And when we're doing that, there's so much to
Yes.
keep track of. So part of the challenge, because we can be keeping track of so and so needs this, I forgot to do that, there's someone I need to be in touch with, and really just get lost in that headspace. And what do we need to do to be able to really be present, that we have so many ands, because a lot of it is things that we want, perhaps some things we don't want but we've got to do. But how do you do this, and what wisdom can you share from yourself here of being able to do and also being present, because otherwise you're missing
And
it.
floating in and out of that. Because it's, um, you know, for me personally, a system that I have used that I really just like, and it is sort of maybe in the constitutes an organizational system, but I will divide my life into different categories. So the mom, my work, my spiritual, my health, all of those. And I have about 8 different categories that are important to me. And I literally will go down on what are like my big macro goals. And then one of the
Mhm.
things that I found was really important was asking, what's most important in this category? Because what I found was my do list
Mm.
had a lot of stuff on it that, yeah, some of it had to happen, but it wasn't always the most important. And so when I went through the different categories of like, what must I do to really hit that goal in those different categories, that really was enlightening. And it was often not even on my to-do list. And so it superseded some of all of those to-dos. Like, what must happen for me to really connect with my kids? Well, yeah, I've got a million phone calls of activities I need to schedule and play dates I need to do and classes I need to sign up for them. But is that what must happen for me to really connect with them? Yes and no. Yes, it needs to happen, but no, it's actually not. And so that question really helped ground me in what must happen for me to do whatever my goal was in each of those categories, and making sure that I honored that, even if not every day, at least every week. Therein lies, like, it can't all happen at once, but it could happen over the course of a week. And that gave me a little more ability to
Mhm.
get into that present moment instead of getting caught up in all of the things that had to happen.
Yes. So my highlight here is, one great question is about asking yourself, there's a lot that you need to do, or that you need to do, that's on the list, and taking that another step and ask, what must happen? What must be done?
And
And that helps
especially
bring you
when
to
it's
another
and it's
level.
what is the sort of goal in each of those categories, right? Your category isn't to just
Mm.
be a little like animatron on a machine, right? To like get all these things done. So under kids, it's like, well, what's my larger goal with my children, or my larger goal with my business? And then what must happen to hit that? And then I have the list of all the to-dos that will get infiltrated throughout the week. But it really, really, every single time I ask that question, I'm surprised at how seldom it shows up on that list, and how actually important and meaningful the response is. So determining the goal in each of those categories of your life, what must happen for you to hit that, and make sure that is integrated into all the to-dos.
Well, what was your must? Because it's a very big must of having that you must write this book. So what was the
Oh
must
my
here?
gosh.
If
And
you
I
could
think that one
tell.
sometimes ended up on the to-do list. It was like, what must? I think what I do with Moticize is something that I created a couple years ago, where it's really a life coaching process done to exercise. And it's really a way of tapping into the body intelligence. It's a way, when we move our bodies, whether it be walking or exercise or biking or swimming or anything that you move, your brain goes through a pretty big transformation. It's more creative, more focused. It can learn more. It actually taps the motivation center of your brain. Like, all of these incredible things are happening in your brain and in your body. So I was wondering, how could I harness that and direct it towards something that you really wanted? Hence was born Moticize. But often I'll say that and people will be like, huh? Yeah. And so that was when I was like, well, I must write a book to really go through the 7-step process and really guide people through it so that they can experience it. And it has little videos for what I call Moti minutes. So one exercise, one mindset. In the class or in classes or in a walk, you kind of put them all together, but at least you get to feel what it feels like in the book. But that was why the must came out, because I've seen so many incredible things happen. People coming up with new business ideas, earning strategies for earning lots of money. I had a client who lost 300 pounds, like the things that have happened. From this process, I felt was so powerful and is so different from how things are done. So it's an alternative way to really tap into your body and your mind in a different way and achieve your goals. And I wanted to communicate that to a larger audience.
That's so fantastic. And just to share with you, last night, as I was thinking about this morning and what was going to happen with this body, I thought, I'm going to go to the gym, but all of that. Well, at 6:30 this morning, it did not seem like such a great idea.
Funny how that happened.
It did not seem like such a great idea. And but to your point, that the must was that, well, I know that don't overthink it. Just get your sneakers on, get in the car, get to the gym. And but it's a must that you have your musts, and you do feel better. You do feel better that we can so leave our bodies behind and not take care of that. People sometimes take better. I was just thinking about the body as a form of a vehicle, and some people take better care of their cars than they
So
do
true.
their body.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, oh, it's gotten a little dirty in here. I've got to get it vacuumed, or I get this pot a wash. But we don't bring that same level of importance and priority to taking care of the vehicle that gets us into all these different corners of our lives.
And to add to that, one of the things that I think Moticize does is it's not just about the body. It's not just about fitness. Not just, in fact, I would say that's almost the secondary. That's the byproduct, is that you will get exercise. The primary focus is the mindset process that will help you achieve the goals. And so people who
Yes.
don't like exercise are like, I
Yes.
actually like that because I'm not thinking about the exercise. I'm thinking about something that I really want. And so they're using all of the energy, the natural energy and the good feeling chemicals and all of that, plus the process that happens in your brain, to be intentional about coming up with ideas and thoughts and strategies around a goal. While they're also getting a workout.
Well, that is so fantastic, and such important information, a way to think and approach how can I go out and fulfill for myself my responsibilities and really just be in that space of presence and better. Sonia, it's been a
I
very,
know,
very
so fast.
fast period of time. I know. And so what's
Ooh,
the
we
next
shall. You know,
disruption?
I do have one, but
Okay.
it's marinating, so I almost feel like I can't quite say it yet. But it's something that will pull me back
Well,
out into. It's maybe a little bit of harnessing both my past and my present, so something a little bit more public. So we'll see, but I'll come back and share it.
okay. Well, fantastic. I can't wait. And also, because, you were telling us about these 8 categories of importance for you. So, just it sounds like you're melding a couple of categories together. So, first of all, I want to thank you so, so very much for sharing your journey, your pivots, your wisdom, your heart and your mind with us this morning, afternoon, actually. And that we've got the takeaways of listening to yourself. Listen not just with your head, listen with your heart, and don't leave yourself behind. So Sonia, for anybody, once again, here we go. What if it were easy? And let's do a little hair flip, and let's take our screenshot for now. That was that you did a hair commercial,
Had a
didn't
little big hair. Soap operas, they always have big hair. I learned that one.
you? More a new skill set to teach me. Okay. Okay. Are we? Listen, I don't have
Yes.
to tell you. Okay. Ready? One more. Okay. Okay, Sonia, thank you so much for being here. Everyone else, thanks so much. If you've missed it, if you couldn't listen to all of it, if you want somebody else to listen to it, remember that this will be on my Instagram, and you'll always be able to go back, hear the pieces that you want to hear again. So glad you were here today to join us. And remember, positive change can happen at any point.
Thanks.
See you next time.
Bye.